seen it yet?
I haven't, but I will now.
I want to go see the movie. That actually was one of
Hey,
the
everybody, we're actually live again, and we're back because it ended. The trailer.
The trailer ended.
Yeah, and we're back and live again.
Oh yeah, that's what we were
Bill,
saying.
you're standing in front of the camera.
Bill's standing in front of the camera.
Cut to camera 3,
Bill's
please.
a professional.
Sorry, I'm fired. I didn't even make it through the first hour.
Dear Lord. So here we are with Angela Boyer-Stump from Sotheby's International Realty, Mr. Cohn from Ravis Home Mortgage, and we're going to talk real estate, guys. So what do you think's going on in the market right now, guys? Want to start, Angela?
Sure. Well, I'm busy. I know that the news tries to say that we're not, but I just put 2 houses in contract. I have an accepted offer on my latest listing, and I am doing a home inspection at 1 o'clock today. So
La Machine.
yeah,
Do
so
any of them need mortgages?
yes, and we'll be in touch about
Okay,
that because
good.
you're definitely on the list of people to go to.
But I keep saying though, when you get the sheets, the daily sheets, or we as brokers, I'm a real estate agent also. In addition to hosting a TV show, I should be selling houses now actually rather than doing a TV show.
You might be.
I'd be more busy like Angela. But the numbers are down. The number of transfers are down across the board. Are you seeing that as well,
Well,
Melissa?
absolutely, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's just not as much inventory this year.
Right.
And especially since mortgage rates have gone up so significantly over the course of the past year, people that would have thought about selling who have 2 and 3 and low 4% mortgages are not going to want to sell and go buy in a 6%, 6.5% rate environment.
Right.
So I think as interest rates start to and continue to decline through this year and into next year, we'll see inventory grow and the velocity of business will grow naturally as a result of that.
Well, do you think also we're going to see another rate increase?
You know, it's interesting. We had that really robust jobs number yesterday that got reported, and in spite of the fact that, you know, people are saying that's going to give the Fed can still pause raising rates in June, a lot of people feel that the Fed probably does have one more rate hike in them. But that's not necessarily.
You can refinance.
Absolutely, you know, my favorite expression, you marry the house and you date the rate. But, you know, having the Fed raise rates is not necessarily a bad thing for the real estate market because the Fed, you know, they impact Fed funds, they impact corporate borrowing, student loans, home equity loans, car loans, but mortgage rates are tied to the bond market. So the purpose of the Fed's 10 consecutive rate hikes has been to slow the economy down, to bring the rate of inflation back down to 2%. When these rate hikes eventually work their way into the economy and do start slowing things down, rates will come down, prices will go up, more buyers will come into the market.
Prices.
Higher than they are now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's sort of that's historically
Another reason
what
to
happens.
buy now.
There you go. Buy now. It's
You know, I always tell people if you buy now in a higher rate environment, you know, there are fewer buyers out there looking at those properties. The odds are you'll get a better deal. And if you save $50,000, $100,000, $500,000 on a house out here, and you're paying $400 a month more in a mortgage, and you refinance 6 months later, you know, do the math. It's much better to buy now than it is to wait.
I always say the time to buy is now.
Well, there's
you just don't know the future. So why not buy now? If you know you want to buy, if you're on the fence, then wait. But if you know you want a home in the Hamptons, the time to buy is now.
Well,
Don't
as
wait.
I always say about the Hamptons, it's always better to buy and wait than wait to buy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Everybody has a slogan.
Everyone has a slogan. It's true. It's true. Tis true. So before there was an article in the New York Times yesterday, and Bill mentioned it earlier, and they were saying how basically the Hamptons is unaffordable for the young folks. Once again the Hamptons, the death of the Hamptons has been foretold yet again. I know.
Woe is me.
Woe is you.
But
They
the
say
Hamptons
this.
has 1,000 lives, so it's always
bingo.
going to
Exactly.
come back.
Constantly reinventing itself. And our numbers are high. The Peconic tax increase
Yes.
certainly.
0.5%.
It certainly weighs heavily on if you're a first-time
Right.
home buyer. But at the end of the day, it's kind of a generational wealth purchase. You buy in, you keep going, you sell your first house, you buy into your second house,
Correct.
you can buy into your third house. So if you're waiting, it's not the right thing to do. You have to get into the market. And the younger generation, they claim they don't want to be here, but my guess is that by July 4th weekend, it'll be packed again with young people.
Go to Surf Lodge on a
to
Saturday.
Surf Lodge
There you
now.
Yeah. Go to
Go
Surf Lodge
now.
now. Yeah.
Or get on that cannonball train at 4 o'clock.
That's right.
Oh my God.
That's right.
That train is quite the train, the Cannonball.
Yeah.
It is.
I wonder a little bit if that article might have been referring to rental prices as well.
Well,
Because rents are high, so of course we're going to see fewer younger people renting because young people are smart. They don't want to put their money into rentals. They want to invest
right.
and hold their equity. So it could be that what they're doing is looking at our rental rates, which are extremely high. And even though we have a lot of inventory, nobody's moving on that market. They're
No.
staying very static in how they want their money to be coming in.
Well, you and I talk to a lot of other brokers,
Yeah.
and I'm hearing across the board the rental market is it's a ghost town out there
It's a
for the
ghost
rent.
town,
And I don't see it getting. Everyone's like, oh, we're going to get this rush after Memorial Day, so everyone can come in for
Haven't seen
July
it
and August.
yet.
Hasn't happened
Haven't
yet.
seen
It
it.
Is it
hasn't
moving
happened
more
yet.
towards shorter term rentals? Where I read that people, and I've seen from just speaking to clients that, well, I'm gonna rent my house for 2 weeks here, I'm gonna rent my house for 2 weeks there. And it seems that this is the year that people are not sort of committing to a whole summer, but people are still traveling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
we're
I
still-
think,
we
I
still
think
have a
that
little-
landlords were hoping it was going
Right,
to swing to
exactly.
2
Right.
weeks, so they readjusted and everybody listed for 2 weeks. But I still haven't seen the 2-week
I-
tenant population.
I had a landlord who was not renting, and we said, let's put it in for a 2-week interval and see if we get any action.
No
No,
traction.
but I will tell you, I do think that the business has been sort of cannibalized by the Airbnb and VRBO a little bit.
Well, and
for
the
us.
town will be cracking down on that because
They are cracking down on it,
2-week
so.
minimums will put a damper on the stay marquees and the Airbnbs and those type of companies that are trying to sneak in 1-week options.
Yeah,
It's not only in the villages.
But,
There
you know,
you-
the other thing maybe to think about is, you know, we had this whole debt ceiling crisis hanging over our head for the past few weeks. And it certainly impacted, you know, mortgage rates went up, you know, people paused, what happens if the government would default? Like perhaps now that we're past that,
Yeah.
and as things settle down, that hopefully more people will say, they'll take a deep breath and say, okay, it's not so bad. I really do want to be in the Hamptons, because anytime someone comes out here,
Yeah.
you know, they fall in love.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So,
true.
It's true, and they don't want to leave.
And there's a
all-
housing shortage in this country, so the migration is certainly east.
Right.
We see it. I
My
see more
daughter-
year-round people out here.
My daughter actually moved out of the city this winter and moved to East Hampton full time
Oh,
with
really?
her boyfriend.
Congratulations, how
Thank
fun.
you.
That's
Yeah.
great. I wish my kids would do that.
But it's nice to see that younger people,
Yeah.
in spite of the article, are actually moving out here.
Okay. Well, okay, before we go, forecast for the market, what do you think's gonna happen in the next couple months, Angela? Where's your crystal ball?
My crystal ball is bullish on sales. Rentals probably stay slow. But I do think there are a lot of buyers. There's just not a lot of inventory.
Right.
And I think even though the interest rates seem to be high, if you look at rates over
Historically,
time, I mean, we're
exactly.
still not at where it could possibly go.
Back in the
I
late
don't-
'80s when it was,
Right,
what, 13, 14?
absolutely.
When I started years ago, you know, mortgage rates were 16 and 17%, and
Woo.
people were still buying.
Say it ain't so. We don't wanna-
I have a, what is it, a cat? I have a fur ball.
I mean, a little bit, just a
No,
little
but
increase.
we've
but-
been through many like 8% rate environments, 10% rate environments. And the
So
bottom
true.
line is the Fed rate hikes are going to kick in.
Yeah.
The economy will slow down. Historically, it takes 6 to 12 months for
Yeah.
each Fed hike to impact the economy. You know, it's only been 16 months. So it needs time for it to bake its way into the system. And I say by the end of summer, the rates really start to come down nicely.
Woohoo! Yay, and then the market will.
We love
Angela,
that.
all right, studio audience, can we clap for Melissa and Angela? Yay! Once again, if you want tickets to see this show, just get in touch with us. I think I'm
Hey,
listed on
I
the
love
internet
it.
somewhere. Angela, thanks.
Always a
Melissa,
pleasure.
thanks. Good to see you
Pleasure.
guys. Bill and Bridget, do you want to come in and ask the guy?
Yeah,
anything?
listen, I'm.
Oh, we have open houses we
Great
can talk about.
conversation, thank you.
Yes.
And I will update everyone on the Little Mermaid screening times in just a moment. 125 open houses this weekend, and we're gonna
Wow.
highlight a few of them in just a moment. Is that a larger number for this time of year or a lower number than normal?
I think it's pretty on par.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this is the time of year when if you have something that's on the market and owner isn't using, they use typically for Memorial Day weekend, so you don't really get as many open houses on Memorial Day weekend because you have owner occupancy. And then this week, next week, there are graduations, there are all kinds of things going on, so people tend to pop the open houses in. and sneak in before the first weekend of July, where everybody occupies their home again, and the owners don't want you sitting in their homes for 2 or 3 hours at that point. So,
And
yeah,
It's not a
the tenants
beach day
don't want
today, so it's a good day to go
today
open
would probably,
houses.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
That's-
actually, this
for
whole
open
weekend.
houses today.
That's one of the missions of the show. If you have a bad day in the Hamptons, we're gonna give you a lot of things to do that are gonna be great. And,
There's no such thing as a bad day.
There is, I guess
That-
not.
It's
There's
a
lots to do.
philosophical discussion, we could go on and on.
By the way,
But we're
these
not
are from
gonna-
Levant Bakery. You would think it was 4th of July weekend there this morning.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So
And by
it's
the way,
Yeah.
it's called, I asked them today.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, it's Levane, it's Levant, it's Levana, it's Slovenia, it's Slovenia. It's Levant. I asked two of the guys.
I thought it was
Okay.
Levant.
Oh, no, you're right, Bridget. It's
Jeez
Levant.
Louise,
And the
Levant.
cookies are
Levant.
insane.
The cookies
The
are,
cookies are amazing.
but have you had a muffin or a scone
I
yet?
have.
And the coffee's
Unfortunately,
good.
I've had almost everything they have to offer.
I'm just
I
wondering if I could
misread Zilla,
like.
said no one ever.
Oh, don't say that.
No, it's not the
I
friendliest
said that.
place on the planet to go and visit.
But
We
it's
are a
famous.
friendly place to visit. We have, let's bring up the
I couldn't
slide
help
that shows
myself.
where some of those 125 open houses are this weekend, if you're in any of these neighborhoods.
I will give you $5 if you go to all of them. Contact me.
Those, as I said, are on hamptonsre.com. All this weekend, you can go on Saturday or Sunday. We picked some in different parts of the Hamptons, Bridgehampton, East Hampton, Sagaponic, and Brick Kiln Road. And they are Saturday and Sunday,
That's
so.
right. Well, we were talking
Tell
about
them
the
you heard about
weather.
it here.
Should we give another weather shout out?
Well, it
let's
is
take
the
a look at
bottom
the
of the
weather.
hour,
Okay.
so
Yeah, so.
Regroup,
we regroup and then let's take a look at the beaches again if we
Wait,
can.
I'm regrouping.
We're regrouping and then we'll talk
Okay.
about the weather.
And we'll talk about the weather, which is, if you look outside, you can
Can we-
see it's questionable.
Uh,
yeah,
that
see-
doesn't look like a you know.
Not really a
you
beach
have a nice
day.
shot. I wouldn't mind being there. You took it, was it cold when you shot
It's cold.
that
There were
footage?
people with
Well,
sweaters.
Well, it's
Well, it
nice
is
for
a-
walking.
That's live, Bill.